Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's The Beautiful Bag podcast. I am your host, LeeAnne Hayden, coming to you from the Loft in New Hampshire. And this week we have a special guest from across the pond, Elizabeth. She doesn't know this yet, but Elizabeth is my middle name too. So we are connected that way, and a lot of other things too. We were just talking a minute ago. But Elizabeth comes from across the pond. She comes from England. But right now, for the last year, she's been in Bali, and she's leaving there shortly to move home. Just not in time for me to get out there and go see her there to do this podcast there, which is what we should have done. So, Elizabeth, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Honestly, it's an absolute pleasure. I'm excited to dive into everything.
Yes, I know. We have so much to talk about. We have so much to talk about. So, guys, get ready, get your coffee. If you're driving, just keep driving. If you're watching on the recording, you can watch us live. You can see our faces on Spotify and on YouTube. But we are going to talk. So, Elizabeth, I know your story because you sent it over and I read a little bit of your story. But why don't you explain your to the listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So my story, I guess, is probably very, very similar to a lot of other people. I'm 41 this year, but I was diagnosed with Crohn's and colitis, so both of them, in 2009 after struggling with really, really horrendous symptoms, like we all know, the bloating, the sickness, the weight loss, the blood in stools, for probably 10, 11 years. Like ever since I was an early teenager, like my mum would always said I was very fussy with eating. I always complained of tummy ache, even from a very small age. And she said, she used to try and drop me off at school at age 4, and I would complain that I had a tummy ache. So there was something in it from a young age. And then, of course, growing up, going through school, going to college, going to university, big changes, big stress, which I think a lot of us find with IBD, that anytime there's some sort of stressful situation, we get a flare up. And like I said, I just used to keep struggling with all of these symptoms and went back and forth to the doctors again, like we all do. It's IBS, cut out dairy, cut out gluten, do this, do that, try yoga. Did all of that. And of course, the blessing, like we were just saying earlier, that my biggest passion is nutrition, but I actually fell into the love of food because of all my symptoms and my illness in my late teens. But then, I lived in South Africa for a year. I came home. I then lived in Australia for 4 years, living, a healthy lifestyle, whilst managing all these symptoms, which I thought were IBS. And then just, when was it? It was May, June 2009. I just became super, super ill. I was working at a gym. I was surfing every day. I was, eating healthily, and I air quote it because, as we know, when we live with IBD, or a colostomy or an ileostomy, certain healthy foods are actually not healthy for us because they can cause more damage. So I was having like whole food salads and like green juices and like eating all this lovely stuff. Basically, I just got more and more ill. I lost a load of weight. I was going to the toilet 15 times a day. I started losing blood. And my mum and dad had just come over from England. And we were at that point where I was kind of like, well, should I come home? Should I stay there? And anyway, long story short, went back to England a few weeks after they left, which was the most horrific plane journey because, of course, it was basically diarrhea on steroids for 24 hours. So I was like popping Imodium, flying on my own. Got home, went to my local doctors who I'd been to loads of times before. And luckily, I actually had a new doctor. He was probably only like late 20s, early 30s. And I remember thinking, oh God, this guy, like he's new. He's not going to get it, which is so awful of me to say. And he was incredible. Absolutely incredible. He was like,
He's probably the one who learned more from being a new,
exactly.
younger doctor and all the new things that are going on.
Exactly. And this is it. And this is what I've learned over the years. Like, kind of, you kind of want old school, but you don't as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, exactly that. And he was incredible. He said, I think we need to get you straight in for a colonoscopy, because I think before I'd had loads of sigmoidoscopies, which obviously is just halfway up your bowel. Whereas people that probably know, like a colonoscopy is all the way around, all your small intestine and your large intestine. So anyway, yeah, went in, rushed into hospital, had a colonoscopy, and yeah, there and then they were like, so you've got Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. We need to get you on steroids straight away. And again, like probably most people listening to this podcast, the relief that I had when I came out was just insane, because I thought, okay, finally, I have an answer. I am not crazy. Do have something wrong with me. Yes, it's going to be a really big journey. But yeah, straight away, put me on steroids, pentase and mercaptopurine. And honestly, within a week, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have any bloating. I'm only going to the toilet once a day. Like, what the hell? I'd never felt so good in my life. And so, yeah, I obviously moved back to England.
Yeah.
So that's how I got diagnosed.
That is crazy. And it's a journey. And like you said, so many people that listen to the podcast have, it's Crohn's or it's UC, it's ulcerative colitis. And it's debilitating for people to live that way. Like you said, I mean, you're on a plane and you have to keep Imodium AD and running. How do you travel? I mean, I was talking to somebody earlier who has the same issues going on right now. And I was telling him, I know somebody who built a toilet in their car for long road trips, like in their car, took a seat out the toilet in the car in their minivan because she needed to go all the time and they would do these long road trips. So she would be like, well, at least I don't have to pull over the side of the road or whatever. So it's just crazy. So that is how you were diagnosed. So that is 2009?
No. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah. Oh my gosh. So diagnosed then. And it's weird, like I'd kind of done a little bit of research into it, because when I was living in Australia, I actually did a diploma in natural beauty therapy with nutrition, and the holistic school excuse me, that I trained in, they were doing full-on nutrition diplomas and degrees there as well. So I was exposed to lots of other people that were obviously very, very into nutrition. And I remember a few of them talking to me because we were talking about my symptoms. And once I got diagnosed, I was like, so and so, I think, said about Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. Like, I hadn't heard of it before then. I'd obviously only heard of IBS. But yeah, got diagnosed. And it's just weird, isn't it? I don't know. It, again, like everybody else, you go on the drugs and the medication, and then it just snowballs and you're on them, and then you get back into life and you almost like forget how ill you were.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, again, long story short, I was on the steroids. I think the course, isn't it, of like 8 to 10 weeks. So they were just the prednisone, so the oral ones. And then I weaned myself off those. I stayed on pentasa and mercaptopurine, and I think I was probably fine actually. Generally, like, I was conscious of what I was eating. I obviously did a lot of research into it, didn't have too much fiber. I've always been very, very into, like I said, into healthy eating and hydration. And I've always been into exercise. So I was, just got on with my life, living my life. And then I worked for a health clinic actually, which kind of worked out really well. So I was a practice manager for a health clinic working full time. But because I was still, excuse me, very passionate about my beauty therapy, which I'd done in Australia, I couldn't, this is such a funny story, I couldn't find anybody in my hometown that could do any decent waxing. So if there's women listening, I do so kind of like bikini waxing with hot wax. So if you're a woman, you'll know exactly what, or if you're a man, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Men do it too. Don't let them fool you. They do it too.
Exactly. They do know the difference. So yeah, I couldn't find anybody that did like a decent Brazilian wax. So I said to my mom, I'm like, oh my God, I'm just going to buy a wax pot. I'm fully qualified. I'd been doing it in Australia. So I learned how to do it on myself. And then it snowballed. My friend was like, well, can you wax me? And then her friend, and then her friend. And basically within 6 months, I quit my full-time job and I was doing full-time beauty from my spare room in my flat, which was crazy. Yeah.
Well, it's finding your passion. It just falls into your lap.
It just literally fell into my lap, and it was crazy as well because I just absolutely loved it. And of course it worked out, even though like the health clinic I was working for, because it's health as well, they totally understood. And I was so lucky because my desk was literally 2 meters from the toilet. So every time I needed to go or had a bit of a flare up, I could go. But then when I started working for myself, it was even better because I was there and whatnot. But yeah, again, carrying on with the story, I started, working full time for myself, and that was incredible. But I think I then got really, really busy. And again, like everybody knows with IBD, when you do too much and you get stressed, even though the job wasn't stressful, it was physically and emotionally a lot, because I was on my feet, I was talking constantly. So I think I managed to do okay for about 18 months. And then I got what I didn't know then was a flare up.
Okay.
And yeah, I started rushing to the toilet a lot more. I started feeling sick every morning. And then it was like, okay, back to hospital. What's going on? Okay, I think you're in a flare. We need to try this. Okay, let's put you back on steroids. And then basically from 2009, gosh, yeah, till my surgery in 2019. Yeah, it was. I think I went on steroids at least once a year. And it was weird actually, because looking back, and again, I've spoken to a few clients about this as well, being in England, the whole vitamin D, I don't know, being outside, fresh air, health kind of lifestyle. Loads of people I speak to seem to get flare ups in England around November, December time. And I was exactly, yeah, which was really weird. And I was exactly the same. Every time I had a flare up, it was November, December. And I don't know whether that was a link to vitamin D going down, maybe not doing as much being outside, maybe stress of Christmas. I don't know. It's like, it's just something that I'd always been quite aware of. So yeah, anyway, yeah.
Yeah, that is very, very, very interesting
Weird.
because we do know, I mean, we both have studied nutrition and I'm so into supplements. I am like a supplement junkie. I think we need them. That's my opinion. Again, my opinion. But vitamin D in general, whether it's supplementation, but just the sunshine and going through that all of a sudden, because now I'm in New England, right? So it's colder up here. We have the winter months, and we have, the sun goes down earlier and it's darker and all of that. Like I would have never even thought about, well, and vitamin D is huge for our health, like huge for our health.
100%. And it is, it's honestly only the last few years I started realizing, oh my gosh, vitamin D is actually so incredible. And I think, yeah, off on a tangent from my story to talk about vitamin D, because I'll share something with you for my story from the last year. And this is interesting. So for years and years then, ever since that, like, God, probably for 8 years, I've been taking vitamin D. Even through the summer in England, I looked into it, and like we said, and the benefits of it, especially if you're living with IBD. So I'd always been taking vitamin D, obviously always out every day. I had a dog for years, so getting fresh air and getting the sunlight on your chest. But then when I moved to Bali over a year ago, I thought, well, I don't need to take my vitamin D supplements anymore, because obviously I'm living in a sunny country. I'm outside. I don't need I'm eating healthily. I don't need vitamin D. So I stopped my vitamin D supplements last February. And then last August, I had some like hormonal things. So over here, they've got, like a women's hormonal testing company. So I had some blood tests taken, because I thought, oh, let's just have like a little up to date of all my vitamins and my hormones, check everything. Everything was fine, apart from my vitamin D. My vitamin D last August, living in Bali for like 7 months, was low. And that was there and then. I did loads of research and it just made so much sense. If I was maybe a normal person, my vitamin D wouldn't be low. But because I still live with Crohn's and I obviously have a stoma, as we were saying earlier, like our body doesn't absorb the right the most nutrients. It doesn't absorb as many nutrients as a normal person.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, even though I'd been living in Bali in the sun, I wasn't absorbing vitamin D. So I went straight back on vitamin D, and I still take it every single day now. I take 3 every single day with fats, because it's fat soluble vitamin, and my vitamin D is fine. So that was really interesting. So yeah, so back to kind of the flare up. I think that was another reason I moved to Bali as well, because I think sunlight is very, very beneficial when you're living with IBD. So yeah, I started getting flare ups every single year, obviously on prednisolone. And again, like a lot of people, I was on steroids, like I said, every year for pretty much 10 years. And the biggest issue that I struggled with was my weight and all the other side effects. Because as you know, when you go on prednisolone once, okay, you're okay. You go off it. You go on it another time, you might get a bit of a moon face, a bit of swelling, and then it goes down. But then when you, as you know, you go on at your third time, fourth time, fifth time, sixth time, my weight was just going up and up and up. And obviously my diet hadn't changed. I was still doing the same exercise. I was still walking. And I was like, what the hell's going on? Like, why is my weight? I was literally having to buy new bras and new jeans every 3 to 4 months.
Wow.
Literally every 3 to 4 months. It was costing me a fortune. And I was like, what the hell's going on? And yeah, lo and behold, it was years later, I worked out after seeing an endocrinologist as well, that yeah, I had all these horrendous side effects from the prednisolone. And so I was diagnosed with like Cushing's syndrome, which again, a lot of people with IBD will be living with. You know, side effects of that is weight gain, stretch marks, headaches, you get a hump on the back of your neck. So I then started, looking more into how to manage that as well. Sorry, my story goes kind of back and forth a little bit, but yeah, it was like, oh my god. But yeah, with the weight, it kept kind of, like I said, going up and up and up. And then I was kind of trying to manage my Crohn's and colitis. And then basically 2018, end of 2018, again in November, I got really, really poorly, again running to the toilet, throwing up, passing out. And then 2000, gosh, my story is all over the place. It's crazy. But yeah, 2019, it got even worse and worse. And then that's when it got to the point of having conversations with the surgeons and with the consultants about, okay, I think we need to talk about operating now. And that's when we had, the big talks with the surgeons. I didn't really know what a stoma was or an ostomy was back then, even though I'd lived with Crohn's and colitis for over 15 years. But yeah, I then went in, when was it? September 2019. I had a loop ileostomy. So I had my loop ileostomy surgery just to kind of like rest my bowel. So it wasn't obviously permanent then. I had it to rest my bowel to see how I got on. And that was September. And then by November, I was still really, really sick, still rushing to the toilet from my bum, even though it obviously wasn't connected.
Yeah.
And then in November, I had a subtotal colectomy, which of course is all your large bowel removed. After that surgery, I felt 1,000 times better. So it showed that my large bowel was, the surgeon said it was the most diseased he'd ever seen. So it was a good idea that it was taken out. I felt really good. That was the November. Then, of course, I was like, right, brilliant. I've got my stoma. I'm feeling better. 2020, that's going to be my year. I'm so excited. I'm going to go and do this. I'm going to do that. And then, of course, exactly. Honestly, me and my boyfriend at the time, we were so lucky because I literally begged him. I was like, this was before COVID. I was like, we have to go on holiday. Let's just go on like a sunny do nothing holiday. Because I just had my stoma and I was like, I need to get in the sun. So we went to Dubai, which, hadn't really been to before as a holiday, just because I just wanted to have some sun because it was, when was it? February. So we went there, had my first holiday with my stoma, and I wasn't scared actually. I was absolutely fine. High-waisted bikini bottoms and it was lovely. And we had this beautiful holiday. Literally got to the airport flying back and we were like, what's going on? Like there were all these boxes of masks in the airport and there was like all this extra security and we were like, what the hell's going on? And we didn't know. And of course, lo and behold, got home and then I think it was literally like 3 days later, lockdown.
Wow.
I was just like, oh, you're joking. So I'd been pretty much bedridden for a year and then
I got in the house.
and it was like back into. So anyway, and then so then we were obviously in lockdown and then I had my final surgery in lockdown, which was August 2020, because I was still losing lots of blood and mucus from my rectum. And they were like, obviously we had a big conversation about it because as you know, it's a permanent thing when they remove your bum. That's it. So I went back and forth. Talked about it with my family. I thought about it and I was one of the lucky ones that since I had my stoma, I hadn't had any leaking, I hadn't had any issues, hadn't any blockages. And I just thought, you know what? If I have a bag on my stomach for the rest of my life, this is so much better than what I had before. So I said, yes, let's do it. And then, August 2020, I had I can still not say it.
I can't say it either. I'm trying to say it. I'm like,
it's the one word I still can't say it, but the Barbie butt.
Yeah. sparring about
Oh my God.
surgery for the guys that are listening. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
it.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So
So
what
I
was
had
your,
that.
I have so many questions for you. What
I
was
know,
your,
gosh.
gosh, so let's go with this one. What was your thought when you first learned about what a stoma was? What was your initial reaction?
So again, I think I was one of the, I say lucky, I think I was one of the lucky ones because my life and my passions were all around, I think, health and wellness and nutrition and fitness. How do I say this? I've always been like quite a positive person. So the first thing I did when I learned what a stoma was is I actually went on Instagram. And I went straight
Okay,
on
good.
Instagram. Yeah. And I tell everybody this as well, anyone that's going through a stoma, hashtag stoma or hashtag ostomy. And I remember doing it in the hospital bed. Mum and dad had gone to get a cup of tea or something. And I remember hashtagging it on Instagram and just scrolling and going, oh my God. And there were all these women and men and just like with these stoma bags, like on beaches and with their families and holding kids. And I was looking through, and so I obviously, went down a hole and I was like looking at all these different profiles. And I remember looking, going, oh my God, okay, well, they're all living with stomas and ostomies and they look like they're having a bloody good life. So
Mhm.
weirdly, I remember mum and dad then coming back into the room and like we were crying and stuff. And I said, you know what, guys? I was like, I'm fine. Like, I'm good with this. I said, look, and I showed them, I was like, look at all these women, look at these girls. Oh my God. So yeah, I was actually very, very positive and grateful going in. And even, to this day, like people, even my friends back then, they were like, you didn't come across like you were scared. Because of course it's major surgery and I think I'd broken my thumb. That was it. I'd never had anything broken. I'd never been to hospital, apart from obviously for the biologicals, which I'll talk about in a second. But I wasn't scared. I was actually quite excited, weirdly, because I thought, I think this is going to give me my life back. So yeah, I was
Oh,
okay. I was good.
love that. And I love that that is what Instagram, and I'm glad you said I went to Instagram first, because I had my surgery back in 2016. So 2015, I started researching and nobody was really talking about it like we do now. Nobody was. And I remember I went to Google and my first reaction was, oh no,
What is this?
happening, like no, that's not me. I'm like, I wear bikinis, I'm on the beach, like I am not happening, like it's not happening. And then my doctor had to yell at me, but over since then, and I mean that was 9 almost 10 years ago, people like to watch like the girls, like the people just out there living their lives and sharing and showcasing and pregnancies with their stomas and bikinis with their stomas. And I think the more we share and the more we talk about it, about our journeys and what we went through, the better that we're going to be for the next generation of it, right? Because it's going to happen. Crohn's and colitis is huge right now, and it's going to get worse. Believe it or not, it's going to get worse over time. And I don't know why they can't figure out why, but maybe they'll get to it someday.
I know. And that's what, like I was saying to you earlier, I'm so grateful for people like you that are doing these incredible podcasts where we can share our stories, because it is like our community is amazing. And of course, when I was first diagnosed, like I said, in 2009, weirdly back then, because we only had Facebook really. I don't think Instagram had even come out yet.
Instagram wasn't even a thing then.
So that's it. So I went on. I remember going on Facebook, and I remember my IBD team were kind of like, "Oh, you can go on Facebook. They've got these groups," and I went on some of the Facebook groups. Oh my God, exactly. I was like, "No, thank you." They were so negative, weren't they, back then?
So bad.
So negative. And I remember scrolling, going, "No, no, no, no." And that's the funny thing. Like, for all the years I had Crohn's and colitis before my stoma, my friends will tell you probably 80% of my friends didn't even know I had IBD because I didn't talk about it. They just knew, oh, Beth, can't have certain food. She has like tummy issues. But I never talked about it. It was never a thing. It was like, sometimes in the morning I have to rush to the toilet. But I think that was quite a positive thing for me as well, because I wasn't getting all of this external noise and this external people's opinions. So I was just living my life, doing my thing. And then weirdly, actually, only probably a month ago, well, since my recent surgery, I decided to go back on Facebook, but actually go on stoma and ostomy Facebook groups, not Crohn's groups.
Mm-hmm.
And they are incredibly positive.
Mm-hmm.
I am honestly blown away because, again, we could talk about it in a minute, this recent surgery I've had again. I was feeling pretty low because, of course, I'm in Bali, I'm on my own, and it was really, really scary. So I reached out on Facebook to these groups, and everyone's just so amazing, like so amazing. So yeah, back to what you were saying, like,
and so helpful. So
and
let's
so
get into
helpful.
it. You've had your surgery, you've had your stoma now for 5 years?
5 years, over 5 years.
5 years? Yeah, 5 years. So you're into health and wellness, and we talk about this a lot. We talked about this a little bit, but I want to dig into it more because it's like I eat healthy. And we're all so different. So what healthy is for me is different for you, is different for someone else, right? We're all just so different. But you said something about having to eat a low fiber diet for you, right? And everybody's it and all the health, every nutrition, every certification, everything you do, it's fiber, fiber, fiber. It's so good for you, fiber, fiber, fiber. And I can't have fiber because it causes blockages for me. Like I have adhesion, so it causes blockages, right? It just gets stuck. But it's like you have, you have colon cancer in your family. You should be eating more fiber. It clears it out and everything else. What does healthy even mean to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Really good question. And again, this is something that I have learned over the years because I think even before my stoma, I ate a very very nutritious diet. I hate the word diet, but meals and foods and stuff. That's it. Because again, my passion has always been nutrition. And also as well, we can get into it in a minute maybe, but my other love is skincare and skin. And I used to own an organic skincare brand. So I've always kind of eaten for skin and as well. So how do I say? Yeah. So like I've always been very mindful of, eating for skin and eating for gut health and inflammation because I'd always known about the inflammation. But it was being mindful, like I'd go to friends in the summer and we'd have like raw carrot sticks with hummus because of course that's what you do. It's delicious and it's healthy. And I started working out like, oh, when I have like raw carrots and raw peppers, I get really bloated and gassy and it's really, okay, so maybe that's because of this. And I just started like learning and trialing and erroring and testing and stuff. And even to this day, it's so difficult, isn't it, to explain to friends and family. You're like, well, I can't have this and this, but I can have this. And even, a friend the other day, I'm meeting her in a couple of weeks for lunch. And she was like, oh, I'll take you to this cafe. It's amazing. It's all gluten free. And I said, no, that's fine. I said, I'm fine with gluten. Like, I'm not celiac. I have Crohn's and a stoma. And she's like, oh, but yeah. So anyway, but now, like you said, so living with a stoma, like I said, it's been over 5 years and it has been massive trial and error. And just, I suppose, again, because I have a passion for food, I have a passion for cooking, and I know a lot of people don't, which is why I'm trying to help people to eat really good foods but that aren't like really hard to make, that aren't going to cause a blockage. So I've been just kind of like manipulating recipes. So for example, like after I had my stoma, one of my few of my favorite foods are peas, broccoli and spinach. I absolutely love peas, broccoli and spinach. They're so good for you, but they taste really good. But of course, when you have an ileostomy, peas, they're going to cause
I want to eat a salad and be healthy. And now I go out and going, guys, I'm eating mashed potatoes and drinking prune juice because I can't eat a salad anymore. It's delicious. Yeah. How crazy is that? Because that's one of the biggest secrets. I have Coca-Cola. I am so healthy, but I will have Coke in the fridge. Like in case just in case I'm like, oh, something's coming on, or if I'm eating something that I shouldn't be eating, sip on a couple of sips of Coke while I'm eating because I really want it. Like because we have to live. But again, food for us is so trial and error because I'm in a colostomy, you're in an ileostomy. Those two things are different. I have adhesions. You have you have an ileostomy, which creates like you can't eat corn, you have to chew, right? And now we have so many different things. Like I can't eat broccoli, but broccoli's really good for us and all those things. How do you cook it? Right. So when I was in the hospital time, which was just a couple months ago, another blockage, they said to me, stay low fiber for a while, drink Miralax every night, which is a stool softener. Like drink Miralax every single day to keep your stool soft, where that's different from you, right? So it's keep it soft so it continues to go through. Whereas you, on the other hand, would be like, okay, I know I can't have corn, I know I can't have peas, but what can I do to thicken myself up a little bit? Right? So so different. And food is everything. Food is everything. And what do? We talked about vitamin D and the importance of vitamin D. And sometimes we can't absorb it, right? We can't absorb the sun into our skin. And again, we're missing pieces of our colon. So there's reasons why we can't absorb it. So supplementing with certain supplements is huge. I mean, I have my favorites and you probably have your favorites and we can talk about them all day long, right? But it was funny. I was going on your Facebook page and you were like, okay, these are the supplements I take every day and here's why, right? Like vitamin D, magnesium, ashwagandha. And everybody's like, what's ashwagandha? I go, I love ashwagandha. Nice and chill. Yeah. It's not healthy. Eat whole foods. Hold on. Hold on. I'll tell you. Yes. Yes. Hold on. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Here it is. Yep. You're like, okay, B complex, vitamin D, omega-3, magnesium, collagen, turmeric, ashwagandha, zinc, and calcium. Well, you look great. Yep. Same. I take collagen every single day. I have my favorite. I used to do liquid collagens. Now I just have my powder collagen. I take a scoop. I do 2 scoops through the day, but I have one because I have collagen coffee to start my day. And I'm like, okay, I'm starting my day with a frothy, milky collagen coffee. I'm gonna drink that up. There's my day. I'm getting it in. Skin's glowing, hair's growing, nails growing, joints are feeling good because that's what it is, right? Helps tighten up the skin, all the ligaments in your body, everything is in your body is collagen and it's just tightening and strengthening. It's strengthening your insides of your body and your body heals so much better. Like I am a huge collagen every day. The new one that is getting great research is creatine. Is getting great research. Yeah, like brain health and just overall everything. Creatine is like the new thing that people are that they're saying that people should be taking. So I've been using creatine for a month and a half now, and it's crazy because my muscle mass, because I don't want to, I'm starting to try. I'm like, I go for massages, and my massage therapist told me, she goes, "Can you start doing some yoga? Stop lifting weights so heavy. You slow it down." I'm like, okay, but I don't want to lose the muscle mass that I have, right? Because that, again, that's something that decreases over time as we age. So creatine helps to hold on to that muscle mass, right? Helps you to build more if you need it, right? As we age, we're losing it, so we want to keep it. So creatine helps to do that too. So yeah, so I am all like, you should see, I'm in the kitchen. I got all my powders, all my greens. I got all the things like pills, popping, chewing, whatever, right? My husband's laughing. He goes, "What are you taking now?" I go, "This is for inflammation. This is my omegas for my skin. This is my multivitamin. This is my vitamin D. This is my magnesium." Like I take all the things that you talk about. I take, I take everything. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. 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 Yes. Mhm. Yep. It's in it. Oh yeah. 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 I do the same. And it's funny because I even know with like a cup of coffee, right? I have my sparkling water right here. I have my cup of coffee in the morning. I have 1 cup in the morning, sometimes 2, but then it's like I can't have another one. Like I can't have a cup of regular coffee afternoon after 12 o'clock or I am up all night long. Like it's just what caffeine does to me. I'm like, why can't I sleep? I can't sleep. What's going on? And all of a sudden squirrel brain's happening, right? Oh my gosh. Well, this has been such a lovely conversation. And I know we could probably talk more and more. And guys, we will definitely do another conversation and strictly talk nutrition. I know we've touched on some things, but I think the two of us together, we should just get together and get in here and talk about nutrition because again, we are all so different and it's trial and error for each and every one of us. and you're going to figure it out as you go along with your surgeries, right? Like as you go along with your own personal journey, you're going to figure out like, this works for me, this isn't working for me. Okay, this used to work for me, it doesn't work for me anymore. And again, if you have any questions on supplementation, Elizabeth or myself, like we're gurus in it. We know it. We love it. We can help you with that too. Elizabeth, I always ask this question. If there was just one thing that you could leave the listeners with, what would that one thing be? Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because your body's going to tell it. Our bodies are going to tell us. It's very smart. Our bodies are very smart. It'll tell us what's going on. So I think that is fantastic. And I just want to thank you so much for being here with us this week. Good luck with everything that you're going through. And I know you're leaving in 3 weeks, so you'll be an earlier time zone. So it won't be 8 a.m. for you and 8 p.m. for me when we're recording this. We can do it at earlier kind of condensed time, but we'll definitely, guys, we will definitely do another episode over the next couple of months, and we'll definitely talk about more nutrition stuff because I think it's a very important topic that everybody's asking questions for. And again, we're not here to cure, prevent, treat anything. I always have to say that. We're just here telling you our stories and what works for us. And it may or may not work for you too. So we're just here to help and share our journeys. So absolutely. And that is, and you are definitely doing that. You are doing that. So guys, I will make sure to grab Elizabeth's link to her website. Elizabeth, why don't you say what your website is too, so people know where to find you? I love that. I love that. And again, guys, so she said it here, you can hear it. I will put it in the show notes too, so it's clickable for you, and go make sure to follow Elizabeth over on Instagram. Again, thank you so much for being here with us. We will definitely be doing that. You're welcome.